think that question is something that every parent asks himself or herself, usually right at the beginning. What did I do, or what happened in the life of my child, or how do I understand this as like somebody's fault? And I think we have to say gently, but firmly, that's not the question certainly not the question to start with, and ultimately not a question that's really going to be fruitful to ask. It's nobody's fault. It's nobody's choice that a son or daughter experiences same-sex attraction or gender identity discordance or any other questions. Most of the time, everybody was just doing the best that they could to the best that they knew how. And to try and place blame or explain it by somebody's choice or somebody's fault really puts the emphasis in the wrong place. I think first of all, it can leave a son or daughter thinking, she thinks there's something wrong with me. He thinks I need to be fixed, and their love therefore is contingent on me figuring this out or fixing this. And that's going to be a real difficulty for any kind of relationship if that's the perception that a son or daughter gets from mom or dad. Sometimes a son or daughter will react to that question by saying, it's not about you didn't do this, it's not about what you said or did or what I said or did, it's just this is what's happening in my life right now. And that's a valid point, right? We need to kind of meet our loved ones where they are, deal with what's happening in their life today and in this part of their life. And so I think rather than ask that question of, where does this come from? How does this happen? Really, our priority is, well, where do we go from here? How do we grow an understanding of one another? How do we understand what's the way to walk forward together? How can we be supportive of our loved ones? And so that requires a lot of listening, a lot of just being available, being open to, and encouraging a son or daughter to just tell their story at their own pace, in their own way, with their own emphases, to really take their story seriously, and then to respond with encouragement, to affirm what you can, to encourage them to remember the rest of the story of the faith that they grew up in, and how they're loved by their family. And then to just kind of take it step by step from that point out, not trying to relive the past or relitigate the past or fix anything or kind of wish something away, but simply to take the son or daughter as they are in this moment and try and find a way to move forward in charity and support. No, it's not anybody's fault, and it's not anybody's choice. I think one thing that's important for parents to remember is that it's not just what we say or do, but how other people perceive what we say or do that has an impact on their hearts and their minds and their sense of belonging or being accepted or being part of a family. And we don't really have control over how someone else perceives what we say or do, with all the best intentions. And this is why it's so important, I think, just to listen and let our loved ones tell their story from their own perspective. And when we're listening to their story, to do our very best not to get defensive, not to say, yes, but you don't understand, but just to let them tell their story. If it hurts, if they perceive that, something was missing or something was off, to listen, to apologize if it's appropriate, to take the painfulness of that to one's spouse, to take it to prayer, to take it to a group like EnCourage, where everybody understands where you're coming from. But in conversations with loved ones, really just to let them talk, let them tell their story, and then trying to understand them through that lens, then move on with them. this question is, I think, really at the heart of where EnCourage comes from. Courage, our apostolate for people who are experiencing attractions themselves, that started about 10 years before EnCourage got started. And moms and dads who heard about the work that Courage was doing wrote to Father Harvey or talked to their local chaplains and said, well, I'm glad that you are there for these people, but my son or daughter is not not practicing the faith, and I don't know how to balance keeping the faith and keeping my family intact. And so it's written right into the goals of EnCourage. The third goal is to maintain a good, healthy relationship with the son or daughter or loved one that experiences same-sex attractions. And then the fourth goal is to try to maintain good relationships with all the rest of the family and encourage them to have good relationships with a loved one. Now it's difficult when you're the only one that seems to be concerned about the relationship that your loved one is in, or whether your loved one believes what the church teaches, and other family members seem to just be affirming and supportive without kind of bringing faith into it. But I think the way to maintain unity and healthy relationships is to ask for the same respect that you're willing to give, which namely, I want you to have a good relationship with our son or with your brother or with your cousin or whoever it might be. I'm not ever going to get in the way of that, but I also am asking you to help to allow me to have my own relationship with our son or your brother or your cousin or whoever that is, and realize that you and I think about this very differently. Doesn't mean that it has to drive a wedge between us, doesn't mean that it has to drive a wedge between me and him, but we're going to take it at our own pace, and I'll respect you to take it at your own pace. And if you want to talk about where I'm coming from or how I feel, I'm happy to do that in that atmosphere of dialogue and respect. But it's not healthy for any of us to take up sides or to assume each other's motives, or to say, well, if you're going to talk to him, then you can't talk to me, or if you're not going to accept him, then you don't talk to me anymore. That's just is destructive of the whole family, and what the person that we both care about needs now is support and understanding from the whole family, and to know that he belongs to the whole family. And so if we can stay mutually respectful, then it's going to be the best way for each of us from our own perspectives to support this person that we both care about. I think emphasizing the fact that the thing that binds us together is the fact that we both care about our child or your brother, your cousin, whoever. That's the most important thing, and that's the common ground on which we can build in future discussions.